On item 1, Supervisor Peskin. Supervisor Peskin, if you can hear us, and unmute your microphone.
Aye.
Peskin, aye.
Oops,
Supervisor.
sorry. That was Preston.
Okay. Supervisor Peskin. Okay. Peskin absent.
Peskin was aye,
Okay.
and I said thank you all. Peskin is aye.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Peskin. Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. On items 2 and 3, Supervisor Peskin. Peskin,
Aye.
aye.
That would
Supervisor.
be aye.
Thank you. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, that would be Aaron Peskin, aye.
Thank you, sir. We have that. On item 5, Supervisor Peskin. Supervisor Peskin on item 5.
Oh, he's fucking big.
Supervisor Peskin, we're going to move on to Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Supervisor Peskin, did you return? Mr. President, I will let the record show that Supervisor Peskin, unless he returns momentarily, was absent for the vote.
Walton, seconded by Supervisor Preston.
Mr. President, can you hold a moment? I received a message from Supervisor Peskin that he is not on the system right now. May I just, a message to John C., can you assist Supervisor Peskin to get back online?
Yes, ma'am. I'll take a look.
So we'll just pause momentarily. So without objection, this resolution is continued.
Is this the ground lease on the California Barrel Company?
That's correct.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On item 7, Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Please call the roll, Madam Clerk.
On item 8, Supervisor Peskin.
You may have said my name, but I've not heard it. It's moving very slowly. If you said Supervisor Peskin, the answer is aye.
Peskin, aye. Thank you. On item 9, Supervisor Peskin.
Peskin or Preston?
Peskin, we're starting with
Aye.
you.
Thank you,
Peskin,
Madam Clerk.
aye. You're welcome,
Aye.
Supervisor. Thank you. And Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Madam
Mr.
Clerk.
President,
Yes.
this is Aaron Peskin. I'm too old to figure out how to use this thing, but I do want to say that I'd like to thank Chair Marr and the GAO committee for forwarding this to the full board. I do want to note during the coronavirus period that this was a shame to the city and county of San Francisco. I'm delighted that we're settling this case. And I hope that we never in this town ever again suppress the rights of the free press.
Okay, no other comments then. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On item 11, Supervisor Peskin.
That would be an aye for $369,000, correct?
Peskin, aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
so if you can, I know that Supervisor Preston's Peskin is having a hard time noting that they want to speak, but if other people
Supervisor
can-
Peskin is here and I'm here.
No. That's not what I said. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call.
On item 12, Supervisor Peskin. Item 12, Supervisor Peskin.
Madam Clerk, One moment, please, as I access the calendar. One moment.
Okay.
As it regards item 12, I would like to add my words to
So then that would be Peskin, aye.
that would be an aye.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, let's go to roll call.
Supervisor Peskin, you're first up to introduce new business.
Re-refer, please.
Re-refer? Okay, thank you. Next on roll call is Supervisor Fewer.
Yes, Madam Clerk, I defer to my colleague Supervisor Aaron Peskin for my introduction. The rest I submit.
Okay. So Supervisor Haney, apologies. I lost my, there we are.
Mar.
Okay, thank you.
Mar.
Supervisor Marr.
They have two resolutions for introducing resolutions for small businesses who are making claims for business interruption insurance and being denied by private insurers. Small businesses insurance has some form of business interruption insurance. Small businesses have been paying policies for decades. Insurance companies have been copying them for just as long. Business interruption insurance was meant to protect small businesses. It times like these. Yet small businesses are bleeding on suffering basis. Private insurers should again deny other. The insurance companies are denying coverage, claiming COVID-19 does not cause property loss damage. A requirement for payout. Yet this is why we know accepted that the virus is capable of providing services for prolonged periods of time, strangling people through free services. We know COVID-19 is an extreme danger to the public, and we recognize that it does cause property loss damage to businesses. The insurance companies are denying coverage, which is supposed to protect businesses when government shuts businesses down to protect the public. As a local government, we know it is necessary to require all businesses to require businesses, and we acknowledge that because of the virus' interaction with business services, contaminated hands, and respiratory droplets. Ultimately, the California Insurance Commission has determination that applies insurance using these acceptable. My resolution urges Commissioner Mara to consider any representation for any insurer to deny coverage because the coronavirus does not cause property loss damage.
The rest I submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Marr. And Supervisor Peskin, you asked to be re-referred.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. To you, Madam Clerk, and to the staff of the clerk's office, I can only say profound thanks to Wilson Ng, who has been incredible at the Emergency Operations Center. I have no words. Our city appears to be a little bit ahead of the flattening of the curve. And to the mayor and our health officials, I cannot say anything more profound than thank you. To my colleagues who are working on every aspect of this, I cannot thank you enough. There are a number of things that I would like to talk about publicly. Publicly, I think that is remarkably important that I'm saying this to the mayor's office, that there's a lot of things that are happening that should be in the public realm, that should be expressed publicly. To all of my colleagues, to Supervisor Walton, who is coming up with something for people who are not going to be protected by the Trump administration, thank you, sir. I think we all have a lot of tough decisions to make in the days ahead. I'm going to make those with you. I've been around here for 20 years. It's going to be really tough sledding. I don't want to borrow out of our reserves until we have to. I would like to cut things in real time right now. All the rest, Madam Clerk, I will submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Peskin, and the thanks you gave to the clerk's office belongs to the staff of the clerk and media services and DT. Thank you so much.
And Madam Clerk, let me call them out by name. John C., thank you, sir. Arthur Koo, thank you, sir. John Carroll, thank you, sir. I don't have a list in front of me, but.
Thank you.
So can you call item number 25, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to rise, this is Aaron Peskin, to say that anybody who wants to contribute to the Chinese hospital can do so. And if you'd like
So
to do
do you want me
so,
to call roll call back again? Call the roll on item 25.
Here we go. On item 25, Supervisor Peskin.
I'm trying to unmute, hold on.
You're on mute.
Aye.
Peskin, aye.
Mr. President. President Yi.
Yes, Supervisor President Peskin.
I just want to tell all of my colleagues and clerk of the board and all of our staff that I love you guys so much and hang in.
Okay, I see. Okay, Supervisor Peskin, are you on the roster?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Through the president to our controller, as it relates to the estimates that you have set forth, which are clearly in the coronavirus period, does that account for various things that me and my board are proposing?
No, at this point, these numbers don't include any expense associated with the response.
So as you stated that, as to the EOC response, the Emergency Operations Center response, is that not included in the numbers you're giving us? Because they're burning money like nobody's business every day.
No, those costs are unknown to us still.
I believe that we can actually, within the confines of a $12 billion budget, propose things and cut things. Or if I asked you for $10 million of easy cuts, what would you propose?
I don't know that I could answer that here, Supervisor, but I would be happy to work on with your budget and legislative analyst, Mayor's Budget Office, and others on frankly that 10 million and the hundreds of millions that will follow it.
There's no such thing as easy cuts.
How do you feel about the symphony, the opera, and the ballet, sir? And what's that worth?
We're 3/4 of the year of the way through a fiscal year at this point, and so the balance is unencumbered in any program, whether it's those or others, will be more limited.
The answer, Ben's about $3 million.
Well, I believe the allocation for those organizations is 3 to 4 million for the year.
Do you have any other good low-hanging fruit?
None to report here today.
Wow, you should run for office.
So are you done, Supervisor Peskin?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, Supervisor Fior?
Yes, thank you, President Yee. And no, Mr. Rosenfeld, you should not run for office, quite frankly. I give you that advice as someone who has run for office. And so, Controller Rosenfield, I want to thank you for your informative and sobering presentation. Thank you very much. And again, I look forward to seeing or hearing from all of you tomorrow at the Budget Committee. And again, thank you to City Controller Ben Rosenfield.
Okay, Supervisor Preston?
Piece of that tone was pausing non-essential capital projects that may well be.
Man, you mean Wednesday, not tomorrow?
I believe they're one and the same. But
Tomorrow's Wednesday, Supervisor Peskin. So I don't see anybody else on the roster right now.
Mr. President.
Okay, Supervisor Peskin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unfortunately, I did not hear the rest of what Ben said because my computer is moving very slowly. But I would say this about that, which is that
we just heard from many people from the public who've called in and sent hundreds of emails and signing petitions. I think that there's clearly massive concern in our city among residents about the current
Thank you, Supervisor Haney. Madam Clerk, can we call the roll on this?
On item 20, Supervisor Peskin? Peskin absent. On item 22, Supervisor Peskin? Peskin absent. Yes, on item 23, Supervisor Peskin? Peskin absent.
Okay, so why don't we just go ahead and vote on this item then? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on the imperative?
Yes, on the imperative item, Supervisor Peskin? Peskin absent. I'm going to recommend a roll call vote, Mr. President. Okay, apologies.
Roll call,
on the imperative resolution, Supervisor Peskin? Peskin absent.
Madam Clerk, is there any further business before us today?
That concludes our business for today.
Thank you, everyone.